everyone? Ajax the Mister here, and today is gonna be a little bit of a different, take on Megalo Box. I won't be doing a reaction, unfortunately, but I will be giving my thoughts, mostly because I'm dealing with a lot of copyright issues with doing the reaction portion, and it's gonna be a while until I get those resolved. So give it a couple of weeks. I just want to play it safe because, again, I want to give you guys my thoughts on this series because I do have videos for episodes 2 and 3. They were reaction videos along with reviews, the typical way I tend to do them, but they got copyrighted, they got taken down, and I'm currently in the process of bringing them back up. So I don't want to, be too risque when it comes to uploading reaction videos for Megalo Box until I get those other videos resolved. So again, for now, I'm just going to be doing reviews because, again, I love this series, and I'm going to try and recreate exactly how I felt in certain moments, similar to a reaction in a way, but more so giving you my overall thoughts on these specific moments in the anime because, man, this episode spoke to me on so many levels. It was definitely a treat to behold. So first off, we're picking up right where we left off with last week's episode in that Joe is gearless. He doesn't have any gear. His old gear got basically destroyed or mishapped with how Pops was handling it. And then when they went to get that new prototype gear, that didn't work too well at all. It got destroyed while Joe was fighting that no-name big dude. Again, I doubt we're going to see him again, so I'm not even going to bother remembering his name, at least for now. But yeah, so now Joe doesn't have any gear. I was thinking maybe they were going to have to take out an additional loan from, the mob guy from the mafia that Pops owes a lot of money to. But it turns out, which I think is a great idea, Pop said that they are going to build the name of Gearless Joe because the whole point of Megalonia is for all these fighters to come in with a boxing match and they each have gear. That's the whole point of the Megalonia fight. But as stated in the rules in this episode, you don't necessarily need gear to participate in the tournament. So the fact that Joe is going in without any gear, I think is an awesome idea to get people drawn into him because, again, the norm is for you to have gear, whether it's crappy, state-of-the-art, prototype, whatever have you. But in this scenario, Joe's like, hey, let's go in gearless for now and build up our name through the ranks. I don't think Joe's gonna be able to go the entire tournament without using any gear. Maybe at some point when they reach the higher ranks, Joe will get maybe some sponsors or some anonymous donations, and then he could start using gear because I really doubt the man is gonna be able to hold his own up against the higher ranked fighters who probably have some state-of-the-art gear and are gonna move faster and have more precision than Joe, and they're gonna have more power behind their punches. So again, Joe's gonna need to, hold his ground for now, being gearless Joe, but at some point, he's gonna need to step his game up when it comes to getting the proper equipment. Speaking of which, I really loved how they took this, whole concept of Joe being gearless. Because put this in another scenario in any other anime, you're gonna have the main character who decides to step outside the norms, and he's gonna be overpowered. I was expecting Joe to come into this fight with no gear up against Sharkboy. Let's just go with Sharkboy because, again, I doubt we're gonna be seeing him again. So he's going up against Sharkboy. I thought Joe was gonna be insanely overpowered. I thought maybe because he doesn't have any gear on, he's gonna be so fast and swift, and he's just this underground prodigy that the shark guy is not gonna be that much of a fight. But it took a realistic approach. Joe coming in to a Megalonia fight without any gear, that's gonna scare the bejeebus out of anyone, and I'm so glad they carried that into the fight. Joe was afraid of this boxer that is not some scrub from underground. He's not some, makeshift fighter that barely makes a living off of boxing. This is a professional boxer that participated in tournaments before. He has gear, he knows how to fight, and he's up against someone that has no gear, Joe. And it's just insane because Joe is shaking. He doesn't know exactly what to do. And then when he gets into the fight, he tries to hold his own as much as he can against this shark guy, but this guy would not give him any rest. And I love how the anime portrays how powerful these punches are when it comes to people who have gear and people who don't. Because take, for example, Sharkboy's punch that he landed on Joe square in the face. Well, maybe not square in the face, but you know, Joe blocked it, but it was still a pretty solid punch. Not one that connected, but hey, it left an impact. That punch sent Joe flying across the arena. I really doubt this is supposed to be one of those animes where fights are so cartoony and unrealistic. Like if a punch connects as an uppercut, I doubt the character is gonna go flying 50 feet in the air and then land like outside of the arena. At least that's the vibes that I was getting watching this anime. You know, even though they have gear on, it's still within the realms of reality. They have to punch, they have to dodge, they have to do these you know, parries and whatnot, but no one is getting like punched out of the arena. You know, it's not cartoony like that. But I love the gap in power that they showed where this guy has gear, Joe does not, and because Joe doesn't, this guy's punch connects on him and Joe flies across the arena. I want to assume that if Joe had gear in this fight, he wouldn't have been sent flying across the ring. So again, I love the way that they portrayed that aspect of the fight. And hell, once the guy finally connected a solid punch on Joe, Joe's on the ground. It's almost as if the guy was wailing on him for the entire match and Joe's fatigue just caught up with him. But no, that's not what happened. The guy connected one solid punch and Joe is down for the count. Compare that to the moments where Joe is connecting a few punches on this guy. And I'm not saying the guy wasn't feeling Joe's punches, but compared to the level that Joe felt Sharkboy's, it's a whole nother level. So Joe is on the ground, already on the timer. He's able to get up, but at the same time, he's really shaky. He's dazing out. He's not able to hear the advice Pops is trying to give him. And at the same time, I love the symbolism where they're showing Joe's feet sinking into the arena. His feet are heavy. He's not able to move as fast as he usually does because the fear is overcoming him. And I love how Pops is able to relay that information to him, because at first, Joe's ignoring Pops. Pops is getting angry at Joe. The kid is getting angry at both of them, and he's crying. The kid finally realizes, like, yo, we all need to work together. This is not a solo job. This is a group effort. And finally, Joe realized that. He realized at some point in the fight, like, yo, I need to listen to Pop's advice. I need to realize that, yo, this is professional fighting, and I don't have any gear, and I'm pissing my pants in fear because, again, like, I'm shaking, my vision is blurred, I'm not paying attention to Pop's advice. I need to get my A game in. So at that point, Pops finally tells him, yo, Joe, you need to master your fear, because it's human instinct to be afraid in situations like this. Because like I'm saying, Joe doesn't have any gear. He's almost defenseless. Not saying Joe is incapable of fighting without gear, but it is a handicap on his part compared to someone that does have gear. So I like that aspect where Pops is telling him, dude, listen, you need to listen to me. Give me 5 seconds and you will be fine. Your fear is overcoming you. What makes a boxer a true champion is how they channel that fear. And once that advice kicked in on Joe, he was able to take control back of the fight, dodging and weaving all over Sharkboy, and then finally he's able to knock his ass out with a 1-2 punch, and that was all said and done. I loved how this episode, or at least this fight in the first half of the episode, was laid out, because it really showed how they need to work as a team, and it showed that, hey, Joe has his faults. He's not going to come in as the main character and be dominating the entire fight. Someone that's a scrub on the bottom ranking as him can put up much of a challenge. And I really love how Sharkboy was able to give him that challenge that he needed and to knock some sense into him and saying, yo, you're going to be gearless. You need to man up and channel that fear so you can learn how to fight and not make your feet wet. And then transitioning into the rest of the episode, we mostly just get a montage of Joe going through the other fights. I was kind of hoping that maybe we get more of the fights that Joe has to get, like, you know, what Pops' strategy said in the beginning, where he wants to make Joe have a 5-win streak to where he's winning all these fights without any gear. But I guess I can kind of understand why they want to skip out on that. They want to get through, I guess, the weeds. They already showed us one fight with Sharkboy, and beyond that, it's like, let's move on through the rest of the fights because they're really not that important. So I understand the compromise, but again, I kind of wanted to see more Joe action, but I understand why they went this route. So the rest of the episode was mostly a montage of Joe realizing that, hey, he can go with this route Gearless, and he's actually building a name for himself. It's really cool to see his name go through the ranks and people are realizing, yo, this guy doesn't have any gear. That is really dope because he's holding his own against all these top tier fighters who have gear, whether it be junk or state of the art. So again, I love that Joe is going, at least for now, gearless to show that, hey, he's a fighter that knows how to fight. He doesn't need gear to prove his strength. And of course, the episode caps off with an amazing cliffhanger where essentially Pops wants to fight higher ranked members in the Megalonia tournament so that Joe can get ranked up a lot quicker. And he does get his wish when he gets a phone call from one of his, I guess, longtime friends or past partners, whatever. And he gets a fight with a rank 17 member. And immediately when I saw him, like in my mind, I'm like, who the hell is this Obito wannabe with the scarring on his face and whatnot? Again, it's a joke. I know he's not going to be an Obito character from Naruto, but again, I just saw that. I'm like, oh, okay, scarring on the face. Obito, what's up, bro? But yeah, we finally get the reveal of this character. We don't get a name drop, unfortunately, but we understand that Pops recognizes this guy, and the guy referred to Pops as Coach Nanbu. So maybe this new character used to be a student of Pops, and maybe they had a falling out. I'm wondering if the scarring on his face has anything to do with that fallout, or maybe that was just a childhood thing that he got when he was just a kid. I have no idea, but I love that there's history between Pops and this character because I'm wondering how that's going to carry on to the fight that Joe is going to have with this guy. Because not saying the scar by itself looks like that, but you know, he's ranked 17. That means a lot in this, you know, bracket ranking, and he's coming in all cocky and whatnot, and he's like, yo, hey, Pops, how's it going, bro? So I thought that was freaking hilarious. I loved this episode. I loved everything about this episode. We saw an amazing fight between Sharkboy and Joe, and it was realistic in the sense that Joe was afraid. He was not going to be that main character that was going to be overpowering this guy from the beginning. Joe was afraid. He was gearless. His feet were heavy, and we saw the symbolism with that with the water in the ring. So I loved that, and he finally got some sense slapped into him, and they were able to overcome that fight because Joe was able to channel his fear and put it into his fist. I love that part. So that fight was amazing. The montage, getting through the weeds and whatnot, that was pretty decent in and of itself. And then we got the cliffhanger at the very end with this nameless character coming in, having some history with Coach Nanbu, and I'm wondering where that's gonna go to see maybe if this is gonna be Joe's greatest fight, and if he defeats him, I wonder how far in the ranking he's gonna be raised up. But holy crap, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. What did you think of this episode? Did you like it? Did you like the pacing with the fight? Did you like how they montaged the rest of the fights that Joe had to go through? Because again, I understand. We want to see the big stuff. We want to see the main events. And if they have to compromise a couple of no-name fights with characters that we're probably not going to see again, then so be it. But again, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Thumbs up the video if you enjoyed it, or if you enjoyed the episode at all, because again, I loved this episode. I cannot say that enough. And don't forget to click that dumbbell next to the subscribe button so you can stay up to date with all of my videos whenever I upload them. I'm Ajax the Mister, and as always, folks, thanks for watching.